everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're back here again with another Dokkan video. I know I said that this channel isn't a Dokkan channel, and obviously it isn't. I still uploaded another video in between this one and the previous one, but you guys seem to really enjoy the Dokkan video I did last. This is my most viewed video on the channel, and so I'm going to be doing a few more at least for this week, because it's going to be a really big week. We have another reaction video coming out in a few days, and then I'm going to be doing some summons for the characters as well. I have tons and tons of stones that I've been saving up for the last 3 or 4 months since the worldwide, so I thought I'd sit here and I'd funnel all my excitement for this new celebration and stuff into doing some videos for some concepts, and just to sort of get you guys an idea of what the banners are going to look like, and then put my thoughts on what could be cool for a unit and what we might see in terms of animations and stuff. So I haven't made any animations because I'm not an animator, but I've got some clips from Superhero that will be splicing it up and like making it into sort of like a super attack animation, and putting them as we go and talk about all the animations and abilities and stuff. So I reckon we can just pop right in now, and I made this PowerPoint presentation. It took me a few hours to do, and quickly, just before we keep going through them, reminder that I don't have any leaks. I don't have any knowledge. This is all just speculation. So don't take any of this and like tell people, oh, this is going to be on the banner or anything like that. This is just what I think. So, and this is only for the Gohan stuff as well. No, I'm going to do a separate video for Piccolo in a few days. It might take a bit longer to come out than a usual video, but that's just because, as I said, it takes a few hours to make these PowerPoints. So what could the banner be, or what could be on the banner, sorry. The last 3 Dokkan Fest, in the Trunks and Vegeta banner in the bottom right, the Super Saiyan Blues in the top right, and then the Gammas in the top left, and then also last year's New Year's banner down in the bottom left as well. To this celebration of look like in the time slot, the New Year's banner, and then what units are probably not going to come back because they were really recent. Top left there you can see Gamma 1, and the SDR Gamma 1 that released in October, I think end of October, start of November sort of time slot, alongside Ultimate Gohan, Tech Ultimate Gohan. I reckon both these 2 units will be coming back, and I'll talk a bit further about why I think it's going to happen in a sec when we get to the next slide. But going on to the right, I'm pretty sure the tech androids aren't coming back. As you can see, they're in 2 of the 3 previous banners. I don't expect them to come back to another android related banner, possibly an exchange game 1 or 2. I don't think the worldwide units have a single chance of coming back. It would make no sense for JP especially, because this celebration is going to be more hype than 8th anniversary in terms of units. Like, these are the new units coming out as LRs for the first time. Most hype, probably time of Dokkan ever. So I don't reckon they're going to use the worldwides when there's already so much more excitement, and then they're going to capitalise on the worldwide return hype for anniversary to sort of match it up closer to the hype of the celebration. And they don't really have anything to do with the movie. And even though the Gammas came out at a later point, they're so integral to like the movie that I think it's really high likelihood we see them come back, especially because it was such a weird release with them both on one banner. The banners recently have actually been pretty bad, but I think that's because they're saving all the returns for this banner. So they have lots of returns cut up between this one and then the anniversary next month for JP. I'm going to be talking about the global banners though, so obviously I won't be putting any JP units that are only out in JP right now, or anything like that, into my potential banner concept. And the banners will be close on both versions, but they won't be exact. So you can, if you're a JP player, you can still look at my concept and be like, oh, it might look something like this, but a few things will change, and I won't be talking about what exactly it will be. I think they're only going to be releasing Dokkan Fest LRs that have a partner, so like worldwide units, anniversary units only, none of like the Tanabata stuff, or yeah, just the Tanabata stuff, I guess. And I don't think Kale and Kalitha will return, or Goten and Trunks, or Kefla, or SDR Kaioken, or Goku Black. And then now to the bottom left, the last banner to talk about here is last year's New Year's. So as you can see, we have a Tanabata unit, which I don't think is happening this year. We have the Super Saiyan Goku, who was featured, who I think will be coming back, since on his banner, you can see there's Tech Janemba, who was the previous year's New Year's. So last year's New Year's brought back the year before's New Year's, and I think the same thing will be happening this year with Kid Buu and Super Saiyan Goku / Super Saiyan 2 and 3 Goku. Gotenks I don't think has a high chance of coming back, but also is a possibility because of Goten and Trunks, even though I think Goten and Trunks will be on Piccolo's banner as a dual unit. I don't think they are going to be on Gohan's banner, so if anything, Piccolo's banner, like I said before, not Gohan's banner. And then the Super Saiyan LR Gohan from quite a few years ago with the Downward Celebration, whatever you want to call it. He, I think, is a shoo-in for coming back. He, I think, is the new summonable units. So from left to right, we got Ultimate Gohan, obviously, he's already confirmed, and then a bit more speculatory over here, we have 18 in Krillin and Pan. I think the 18 Krillin will be, we actually already have got an 18 and Krillin unit in the game from Tournament of Power, but obviously they're a free-to-play unit, we're kind of mid. These guys have an opportunity to be on movie heroes, obviously, as well as being really good, so I think they are a potential good pick, and I don't think we'll get a standalone Krillin and 18 just because of how many we have in the game. I think Pan could be on either banner, but I'm leaning just a bit more towards Gohan because, in my concept at least, I have him leading Hybrid Saiyans, so it'd be good to get a good Hybrids partner releasing alongside of him to use on all of his teams essentially, like movie heroes, Hybrid Saiyans, Goku's family, all that stuff. So I think they'll partner up better in terms of links and stuff, not necessarily better narratively, because Pan obviously does have sort of a more on-screen relationship with Piccolo in this movie compared to Gohan. Like their training, they do like the secret mission, they're like together a lot on screen compared to Gohan and Pan, but because they share a lot of links and categories, I think more likely she'll drop on his banner. This is the last dual Dokkan Fest we actually had and probably will have in the game for a while. I have here as an example the Super Saiyan 4s from the 7 year, and the reason I want to bring them up is because it's a good layout to sort of look on what is going to be coming alongside these units. As you can see in this banner, we have the 2 new units at the top. I think there's going to be 3, as I just said before, so that cuts down the rest of the banner to only 7 units compared to 8, which is on here. So keep that in mind when we get to my final banner when there's only 7 units, even though there's 10 featured units. We have a bunch of different boxes that are made for different colours, and that's sort of because there's sort of a pattern that happens with Dokkan Fest LR banners. They like to have, as you can see in red, they have those hype new returns that are going to be on the banner art, and they're going to be the main things they advertise aside from the units. First time on global that the Super Saiyan Goku returned, and on a proper banner, the Evolution Vegeta. Then in the middle, we have sort of that with the yellow box, the orangey yellow box for Vegito. We have that sort of not bad unit, but they're sort of like a bonus, like they're there, and it's not the worst if you pull them, but you're not looking for them either. So usually have 1 or 2 of them on banner releases. Then we have in the green box, we actually have 3 units, and these are the easy A contenders. So there's always a bunch of units that come back on banners which are really old and you can't use them, but if they have something to do with the celebration in terms of their character and arc that they're based around, they have a chance at easy A. And obviously here we had the Super Saiyan 4s and the 3 year who all easy A'd. And then lastly in the blue box we have a Super Saiyan Goku GT and Vegeta GT, and these at the time they've sort of fallen off a bit, but they were great units, especially the Vegeta. You could use them in red zone and stuff. I actually bet Broly, I think, using him. So you sort of had in order the hype new releases, then the Goku and the Vegeta, then the great units in the GT, then the mediocre in the SDR Vegito, and then the easy A bad units in the green boxes. So keep that in mind when we go into the next final banner concept here. Okay, so we're here with the final banner concept I made. As you can see in the top left, we have banner art hype starting off there. These are the 2 units that are going to be on the banner. They have their art there and their hype. That's why I named them that way. And these are the people that people are going to be going for, besides from the new units, similar to the Super Saiyan Goku and the Evolution Vegeta. Then next door we have the grey units, and this is similar to the GT units where they're really good. They're not top tier, but they're still great pulls, and you'll take them for the rainbow. and they are a bit exciting to return because they haven't returned as much as a lot of other units, and they're still usable in all the difficult content. Then down to semi-new units, so this is the Vegito of this banner, and the Super Saiyan Goku. In terms of how good he is, he's sort of mid-tier. He's not like the best, but obviously not the worst. And he's in the banner because of how New Year's works. They always bring back the previous year unit on the next New Year's. So here's that. And then the potential EZAs, I have the Super Saiyan LR Gohan and then the Tech Ultimate Gohan. Both of them have a lot of connection to the celebration. Obviously, Cell Saga Gohan is very connected to Beast Gohan as a form, and that's what the new celebration is about. And then obviously the unit, the new Ultimate Gohan, is named Ultimate Gohan. So that is an Ultimate Gohan unit, but he's transforming, so they actually can work together because it starts off as Gohan team, and he is a really hype EZA. Like if people, if he got EZA, people would actually be going nuts for him. He still is usable now. So anyway, I'd be really excited to see this in-game when the banners drop as the banner, because I can use essentially all the top row, and I'm assuming a lot of you guys would be excited as well. Now getting on to the very exciting part of the celebration, we have Ultimate Gohan Familiar Strength Unleashed. So this is my concept for the transforming Ultimate Gohan. This is going to be the most, I just can't even put it into words how exciting this is going to be when these drop. So let's just get into what I've put here for this character and his abilities and his animations and stuff. I'm probably going to get copyright claim this video for showing all these animations, but whatever, I don't make any money anyway. So his int and his category that he leads is Superhero or Hybrid Saiyans. Superhero was a data mined category a few months ago, and there's been rumors of him leading it, and I think it's like, if the category is literally in game, he's from the movie called Superhero, he's from Dragon Ball Super, and it just fits. There's no way he doesn't lead it. So Hybrids and Superhero 170, Hybrids hasn't got a lead in so long. Is Int Ultimate Gohan the last Hybrids lead? No, I think there was something else, but maybe he was actually Vegeta. Yeah, it's been too long since we got a Hybrids lead. The category and the unit's really popular within the community and the fandom, so it makes sense we finally get a new leader, and it's with this big release here, so they can finally be a good team in the meta like it was a few years ago. So then the 30% or the 200% leader skill, whatever you want to call it, goes to Miraculous Awakening. But Kid Goku can lead 3 categories and has 3 for his 200%. This guy has got 2 for his 200%, and the reason I chose Movie Heroes and Miraculous Awakening is that all the superclass characters from Superhero can get on the 200%, so Pan, the Gammas, the Krillin and the 18, everything like that, because they are movie heroes. So everything from Superhero that's superclass is guaranteed in the 200%. And then Miraculous Awakening is because Superhero is apparently all of Super, so it's not just the movie, but it's all of Super class, but all the protagonists. So I don't think Beerus would be in there and stuff like that. But for example, characters like UI Goku and Evolution Vegeta will all be in this category because of Miraculous Awakening. All the Orange Piccolos would be as well. Obviously, he would be either in Miraculous Awakening or Movie Heroes because he's obviously in the movie as well. So anyway, I think it would be a really good category. It could cover most of the hype moments in Super. So it's going to be nuts to use that and just have all the cool characters that you would want from Dragon Ball Super in one scene. And plus, because of Movie Heroes, all the Blue Gogetas and stuff would also be in there from because they count as DBS Broly, which is in the Super franchise. So it would be a pretty insane category, which would be crazy to have Orange Piccolo, Beast Gohan, the Gods, and potentially a new Blue Gogeta in the future, or the EZA of Vegito and Gogeta Blue in the A year is a high possibility. So putting them on the team all under 200% would be crazy. Oh no, Vegeta wouldn't be under 200%, but everyone else would, and that'd be a crazy team. Here we have Hyper Clash Kamehameha, which is 12 key and a raised attack for 1 turn, lowers enemy defense and causes colossal damage. I'll play the animation for that now. Okay, so that was a pretty good idea of what I'm sort of looking at for the animation for that attack. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be his 12k super, but I think it's like his only big attack in Ultimate that he does when fighting the Gammas, because he's actually not in Ultimate for too long in the movie, and when he is, he doesn't really do too much in terms of fighting. So it's really all we have to go off, and then onto the next one. It's actually going to be a mix of Buu Saga stuff and stuff from the movies. Okay, and done with that one. I didn't even mention what it does, which is raise attack and defense for one turn and causes make lots of damage to enemy. The reason I built the super attacks this way is so you get the 18k, you get the defense raise initially, but then I think putting defense raise in super is like a boring way. It's a really easy way to make it your character have more defense, and I like to make it more integral in their passive rather than just slapping it on there. It seems a bit of a cheap cop out to me, to be honest, so I chose not to include it in his 12k but just his 18k, so he does get it on super attack and he doesn't have to have that in his passive, but he doesn't get up for all of his additionals because he actually does have that built into his kit. So let's read up on that now. So that right there would be his intro animation, and it would activate when there's an ally that includes Pan, Piccolo, or when facing class movie bosses or Android category enemy. And essentially what it would do is reduce damage by 15% for one turn. And you might be thinking that is pretty mid, like what is 15% damage going to do on turn 1, especially when enemies aren't hitting too hard, but we'll get into that and why it's so good for this character and his kit specifically. So on to K +1 and defense plus 158%. Obviously 58 is Gohan in like Japanese, and they always love putting 58%, and 59% in Goku's, and I think they're like some geniuses for doing that, but it's a good number I guess to have because it's a high number. So Ki +1 and defense 158 at the start of turn, and then 58% when performing an attack. If you guys who don't know, when the attack buff is on super, it's actually better because it factors in differently. I don't know exactly how it works. I'm not one of the numbers guys on like the wiki or the Reddit, but I know that it is more impactful on super than just at the start of the turn. So that's why I gave it to him, because even though it's a smaller number, it is more impact than it actually seems on the surface. So then next is a new mechanic that I've given to this Gohan, where he has a 58% chance to evade the first enemy attack in the turn. So if there's 3 attacks at the start of turn and you put him in slot 1, that first attack he will have a chance to dodge, and then going forward he will lose his chance to dodge for those remaining attacks. Or if the enemy doesn't attack till the end of slot 2 per se, let's say all of their attacks are stacked at the last end of turn, that will actually only proc for that first enemy attack. And if there's multiple enemies, it's multiple enemies first attack. So if you're in Super Battle Road and there's 3 enemies and their first attacks for the turn are on slot 1, and there's only 3 attacks, 1 for each of them, you put him in slot 1 and he has a 58% chance to evade all those attacks. So it's a bit better when you're facing multiple enemies than with single enemy, but it's really good either way in my opinion. And it's just like, it's not a core part of his passive, but it's like an extra little bit that helps him to maybe survive in a key moment. And then he also gains an additional 58% chance to evade to the next attack after performing an attack. So this works differently to the first attack one, because the first attack you can do multiple enemies first attacks in a turn, but with this one it's just the next attack. So if you put him in slot 3, there's an attack at the end, he will have 58% chance to evade the attack after performing an attack. It doesn't stack with additionals, so it isn't, if you do 3 additionals, you're not going to get 58% on all the attacks. It's just the first attack. And then there's a medium chance to crit after performing an attack for 1 turn. So this doesn't actually apply to his first attack. So when you do, if you do an 18k, it will never ever have that 30% chance to crit. I'll touch on why I've done that in a second. but then he has a 30% chance of guarding against all attacks after receiving an attack for 1 turn. So you might be thinking, 30% chance to guard, that is terrible, because if you don't get it, you just lose out on most of the defensive capabilities of a unit. But this works similar to Fizz Cumber. And if you guys ever have used or seen what Fizz Cumber does, here's a thing where here's a medium chance to stun the enemy, but it's not the start of turn, it is upon receiving an attack. So after every attack, this has a chance to proc. So that's why it's like a lot better than it seems, because if you get attacked 3 times, you could not proc on one of them, but then proc it on the next one, and because it's for 1 turn, then all the attacks going forward in the turn will have guard. On to the next part. Key +1 and defense is 8, and the attack +22% per attack received. And this is why the reduced damage is so important on the turn 1 for him, is because he builds up key attack and defense when receiving attacks, which is the best form to do that in, because you receive more attacks than you do, and you receive more attacks than you do take turns. So it's better than building up in any other manner, it's the best way. So you can go up to key +3 on top of his start of turn key +1, so it's key +4 start of turn if you're fully built up. Defense is 58%, which factors in differently because it's from a different part of the passive, so it's actually more than 58% on top of the 158 at the start of turn. And attack 142, which then factors in a ton with the performing attack 58%, because they're 2 different buffs, and the 58% is on super as well, so it's a ton damage. It's probably closer to 250 upward, or even upwards of that in terms of percentage. An additional 8% chance of guarding against all attacks after receiving attack for 1 turn per attack received 1 per turn. So this is a bit of a complex wording, but it's the only way I could figure out how to put it down. So essentially, you have a 30% chance to activate guard after receiving every attack for 1 turn, but then upon receiving an attack, you gain an additional 8% chance to that 30% for 1 turn. So if you get attacked 10 times in a turn, that will go up to 58% at max, and then you have 58% on top of the 30%, all the way up to 88% chance to guard against all attacks on every single hit that you take going forward from there. So it's essentially guaranteed guard at some point, unless you just get really bad RNG. And then perform an additional attack with a medium chance to become a super attack after receiving an attack for 1 turn. So I'm sort of egging you on to put him in slot 1 a bit, because he has that 58% chance to evade the first attack. So the first attack he might evade, and then if there's 2 attacks at the start of the rotation, you can evade 1, take no damage, take a bit of damage in the second one, but it allows you to get that additional super or additional attack, and then all additionals have a 30% chance of critting thanks to that earlier portion in his passive. And then the last thing he has is Nullify of Blast Base Supers, which has an animation from the movie that I'm going to play now. Okay, so that was the animation for the transformation. Super hype. This is just gonna be too excited even just doing this concept, man. Super excited for this unit to drop. And I'm sure you guys have tons of stones ready, just like I do if you've been saving correctly. But yeah, it's gonna be tons of fun when these guys drop. Even the information is gonna be super hype when it drops. So after performing 4 attacks, after 5 terms have elapsed and 4 or more allies belong to the superhero category when facing an extreme class enemy that's in the artificial life form category. So he has 3 conditions to transform. His conditions aren't the most common and easy things to do, but I gave him so many that you're likely to hit one of them probably before turn 5 or around turn 5. So sort of that mid-game or end-game area of an event, you're almost guaranteed to get Beast Gohan, because we do not want to have an AGL Gohan happen with this unit where we never get to phase Beast. We want to get Beast every time, even if it's a bit later on in the fight. So his first condition is just 4 attacks. This guy's a built-in additional when he gets hit at the start of turn, and if you build him around additional, you can get 3 attacks in 1 turn at the most. So at the if you get that additional every turn, the earliest you can get him is around turn 5, similar to the other condition, which is just turn 5 with allies in the superhero category. So it's essentially turn 5 for the most part without any condition if you do the attacks correctly, or if you don't put him in slot 1 and he doesn't get those additionals, you're just going to have turn 5 anyway if you're running his team, which is superhero, which is super good. So there's no it's not like a niche category where you have to fill up units. It's like your team with stinker units. It's a good category. Orange Piccolo will be on it, Pan will be on it, and she'll be a nut support, I bet. That's already 3, including this guy. And then if you're on a friend as well, that is your condition fulfilled, because it's not 4 or more other allies, it's just 4 or more allies. So him, a friend version of him, and then Orange Piccolo and Pan, and your condition is fulfilled already. And then another one that you can get on turn 1 is if you're just fighting an extreme artificial life form category enemy. So any Cell or Cell Max, instantly turn 1 you can go into Beast. And here quickly are the links. You have Prepare for Battle, Kamehameha, Cold Judgment, All in the Family, Shocking Speed, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. This could be the best link set in the game. Cold Judgment, All in the Family, great links in terms of what the stats they provide. A bit less common than the other ones, but they're still great. In Cold Judgment, he'll share with Piccolo. Shocking Speed, another really common key link. Prepared for Battle, another common key link. Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, probably the most common links in the game. And Kamehameha, obviously, because he has that in one of his super attack names. He has to have the link, that's how it works. Now onto the main attraction for the celebration, the hype himself, Beast Gohan. This is what I think the art is going to be in terms of posing. I think it's going to be the same as the Legends alternate art, obviously in a better style than the Legends did him, because Legends just made him from almost like a screenshot of his model doing the pose. There was no extra effort put into the stylization of the character. So Dokkan is going a different direction though, and using their black shading. So all I did is I grew up at the Legends art, and then I just turned up the contrast and the shadows, and then just saturated a bunch, because that's probably what they're gonna do. Obviously with some better effect work and stuff. So the only thing that changes in terms of links is he gets a Prepare for Battle to gaze respect. People could say this is a bad thing, but I give this unit a ton of key related abilities, so it's sort of trade-off. You lose that key link and you get this really good attack and defense link, which he shares with Piccolo, who's going to be his partner. And I just think it will be better for him as a unit, rather than, you might hurt the units around him, but you want him to be the priority of the rotation along with Piccolo, so you're not worrying about really what the other unit's going to be doing. And if you have using someone like Pan on the team, like I said, she's probably going to get nut support, giving key to all allies, sort of make up for that loss of key in certain buildings. So it's a trade-off. And also it's a bit related to the movie, because Gohan is a bit separated from Piccolo in terms of their relationship at the start of the movie, and then at the end of the movie they're sort of, joined back up together, and that's when he loses that basic Saiyan fighting link and goes to the more Piccolo-Gohan relationship link, which sort of this movie's about. Now onto the super attacks, the instantaneous counter blow. So this is the iconic kick from the movie. I didn't think it was worthy enough to be an 18 key because it's very short, but I thought it definitely has to be an animation somewhere, and I don't want it to be a counter, because if it's a physical counter, we'll never ever see it. So I made it his 12 key, greatly raises attack temporarily, and a medium chance to crit temporarily and cause colossal damage. So I think this might be the first unit since UI Goku in Evolution Blue Vegeta to get crit chance on the super, because I think Vegeta's in his passive, or maybe it's on super, might be on super actually, so maybe Super Vegeta, but he has temporarily crit chance on his 12 key, but on his 18 key he raises attack for a turn, and he has a medium chance to perform crit for the full turn. So if you 18 key first and then additional his 12 key, all his 12 keys will have a 60% chance to crit, rather than just the 30 from the temporary buff. So let's play the instantaneous counter blow super attack animation. And then the intensive Kamehameha animation. think it is a better fight and like choreography overall that deserves the 18k over the kick, just because I think that first person shot especially reminds me of second form Cell, the transforming one, and it's just such a cool, like, I don't know, effect. Onto his passive now, Power to Destroy. It's a play on his initial passive, which was Power to Save, because it sort of represents the change in his personality and also his goal, because obviously his goal is to save Pan when he's not transformed, and then when he's Beast Gohan, his goal is to defeat Cell. So that's what the change in the passive name is for. So Key 3 at the start of turn, instantly better than Key 4, which he had from build up. He has Key 3 without any build up. 200% defense, up from 158. Attack 158, which is the equivalent to his built up like damage that he had in his pre-transform state. And then when he performs a super attack, he gets that damage. So it's not at the start of the turn, so it's a bigger buff obviously, so it's probably closer to 200%, which is his max passive damage output in his pre-transform state in terms of percentage number. And then a 58% chance to guard against all attacks for 4 turns after receiving an attack. So he has a higher chance to guard on each attack or to activate the proc, but he can't build it up to 85% or whatever it was on pre-transformed, but he has a 58% instantly, which I think is better, and instead of lasting for 1 turn if it's procced, it lasts for 4. So he has it for 2 whole rotations even if you off-rotate him, and that also activates another portion of his passive, which he reduces damage from normal attacks by 15%, gets an additional 58% defense and an additional 100% attack when the guard is active. So he gets 258% defense with the factor in with the additional defense from a different part of the passive. He has the attack 158 on super, and then the attack 100 from like the guard active portion. So it's going to do like more like 300-ish percentage, which is nuts, plus the crit chance and the greatly raise on his super attack. Tons of damage going to be done. And he also, without even getting the crits, has super effective when he collects 3 or more key spheres. Collecting key spheres is sort of an annoying mechanic, but he does have self-sufficient needs or self-sufficient key sphere making in a later portion of the passive. He performs an additional attack with a medium chance to become a super attack when collecting 5 or more key spheres, similar to the de-transformed state or the untransformed state. Then he has an additional attack buff when he collects 8, so that is going to do tons. You have 3 different factored in attack buffs, all really big buffs, going to do so much damage, and with 8 key spheres you're probably on 24 key, and then on 24 key he foresees enemy super attacks. And then, as you can see, the last part of his passive is he changes a random type of key sphere to int, excluding int and SDR. So I've made him not transform his own type of key sphere, so it's not a useless transformation, but also not SDR. I'm planning on making Piccolo have a similar mechanic and him be SDR. So like I said, they work really well in rotation because they won't mess up each other's orbs. He also performs an additional normal attack, just guaranteed. So if you get his 5 key spheres, he has a normal attack and a normal attack with a medium chance, so then that will probably proc a 4th attack, and then he just has a guaranteed nullification to physical supers, because blast supers have the 50% chance because they're really common. The physical ones are way less common, so it's just annoying to find one, and then you have to get the chance as well. I thought just give him the full nullification, and the animation for that is when he stops the fist from Cell Max, which is like this. Finally, onto the active skill and the condition. So the condition is upon next appearance, so legit next turn, as soon as then he comes back after being transformed, and if you're finding a Cell Max or like a Cell, he transforms turn 1, comes back on turn 3, and you can use the active just like instantly. Like turn 3 active skill is nuts. The thing is though, you might not want to use it instantly, because for every turn you don't use the active skill once it's available, it gets attack plus 8%. Active skill attack plus 8% per attack performed. So if you're doing 4 attacks a turn and you're getting 8% active skill attack, let's say you let it run for 2 turns of attacks, you get 4 times 8. What is that? 4 times 8 is 1632. 64% active skill buff for the active skill. in addition to it massively raising attack temporarily and then causing ultimate damage. And if you have the part of his fashion passive activated that allows him to be super effective and have the bonus attack if you have guard active, this is going to do literally so much damage. He probably would one-shot most enemies in the game, including Cell Max, I think, because Cell Max is tech. So this and maybe a super attack, I think, would finish off Cell Max completely. But I think even this unit would be number one. I would say that his detransform state or his untransformed state is worse than Birdcoo, the worldwide unit. So I would say that even though he becomes a better unit, he isn't off the rip a better unit. So he's not so unbalanced that it ruins like the meta for the game. But I think he's definitely good enough that there's like a clear difference from him being number one, which I think is an important thing to have for this such a big release. He has to be number one, or it will definitely dumb down the hype a little bit. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I put a lot of effort into this video with all the animations and the PowerPoint and all the stuff, and the writing and the unit and the kit, and trying to be creative and getting all the screenshots and making everything look nice. So if you could please like and subscribe, that would be a massive indicator if you guys want another video like this for Orange Piccolo, and let me know if you guys are excited for the summons that I'm going to be putting up, as well as the reaction to all the animations. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and catch you in the next one. Peace.